Love it or hate it, On Her Majesty's Secret Service did something different. It wisely moved the series away from the dated and cartoony toward the dated and brutal, with go-go chicks being hypnotized and these fucking fights that were just harsh and fantastic stunts and no real gadgets and a downer ending. And the movie didn't fare as well as previous Bond films had at the box office, though, even though it was by no means a failure. In fact, I believe it was the second highest grossing film of the year behind Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid and made around $100 million off of a $6 million budget. And, they're whining about that. So out with George Lazenby, and with a great deal of pleading and a dump truck full of cash, Sean Connery returned to the role that brought him fame. And just to mention, because I'm not, anything I say is not negative toward Connery. He gave that $1.25 million to like a Scottish trust he started. He's a wonderful human being. So anyway, you'd think that producers Cubby Rockley and Harry Saltzman would tout Connery's return with a grandiose adventure, as they knew for certain he would not return again. And you'd think that they would pull out all the stops in making the sort of Bond film that would top all the previous Bond films. But for some fucking reason, Eon Productions shied away from any sort of ambition and simply made the dullest, ugliest, and worst Bond film to date. So, our pre-title gives us a few scenes of a faceless man beating up Blofeld's subordinates for his whereabouts. This man is, of course, eventually revealed to be this aged man with a thinning hairline. Seriously, watch Connery over the last 9 years since he started playing Bond, and you can just see how terribly the role has aged him. So Bond is beating up people for Blofeld's location, and doing so in such a cartoony, blunt manner that any of the suave sophistication of Dr. No has completely dissipated. The woman beating's there, though. That remains as true as always. So Bond is just pissed, and continuing to blur the lines of continuity. There's no reason for Bond's obsession is mentioned, so it's never clear if Bond is after Blofeld for killing his wife or not. And since Blofeld didn't recognize Bond in On Her Majesty's Secret Service, I'm thinking no. I always liked the idea that Roger Moore's Bond films were the continuation of On Her Majesty's Secret Service, since they do make references to his dead wife. So Blofeld is revealed, and he no longer is the brown-haired man with the booming voice, nor the tiny comical man with the scar and bald head, but Charles Gray, who has hair and is fucking British. Fuck all if that makes any sense. Bond eventually finds Blofeld, and after some sad action and some playing in the mud, Blofeld seems killed by Bond. Cue credits, which have a pretty decent theme song, so that's a point for the film. So the reasoning why Diamonds Are Forever is weak is anyone's guess. It's got a screenplay by series vet Richard Maybaum and future vet Tom Mankiewicz. Ken Adams' sets are there, John Barry's music, and Guy Hamilton, who did Goldfinger, is directing. And it is one of Fleming's weaker novels, but the film has so little to do with the novel that it's not his fault. Bond and M are talking about diamonds, and we get a lot about diamonds as part of the plot. Bernard Lee is great as always, and Bond gets an almost identical moment from Goldfinger here where Bond talks about Sherry. And so Diamonds, South Africa, we get a montage about stealing diamonds, and we meet Mr. Wint and Mr. Kidd, who, like Rosa Klebb and Pussy Galore, are homosexuals. This is again so lightly implied that it's rather pointless for the film, but knowing it makes you automatically picture Putter Smith in any sort of sexual activity, which will haunt your dreams. So they kill this dentist with a scorpion and blow up a helicopter that delivers the diamonds to an old lady, and they kill her later. So Bond is being sent to Amsterdam, and he's pretending to be Peter Franks, this person in the diamond smuggling chain, and he meets Tiffany Case, who's played by Jill St. John, and she's annoying. Hot, but annoying. She's just very flat in her line delivery. There's this cue by phone scene, and the real Peter Franks escapes, and Bond hides hilariously doing this thing here, which is just goofy. And there's this really cool fight in a tiny elevator, which is a great scene. It's probably the best one in the whole fucking movie. So off to L.A. we go with Bond and Tiffany, and with Mr. Kidd and Mr. Wint following. There's a slight joke about their gayness, and in L.A. we get a scene with Felix Leiter, and head from there to Vegas with that guy from The Man with the Golden Gun, and Sid Haig, who will later be made famous in House of a Thousand Corpses and Devil's Rejects. At the funeral home, the real Mr. Frank's body is being cremated, and Bond's going to take the diamonds in like an urn, and this is all part of the very elaborate diamond smuggling ring that they have here. Kidd and Wint knock Bond out and put him in a casket for burning, which is fun, because basically Bond has no escape, and I like that scene because he's like gonna die, and then he's just sort of saved because he's put fake diamonds in this little urn instead of the real ones, which he hid. The only thing is that this whole plan, this whole elaborate diamond smuggling thing, seems to hinge on there being a dead body for all of this. And until he killed the real Peter Franks, there was no dead body. So I don't get how that really worked. And that wasn't part of the plan. Anyway, you know, fuck it. Bond's in Vegas. And Vegas was a different sort of place back then. It was much seedier, I guess, than it is now. He continues to play around with diamond smugglers, and he has an annoying as hell run-in with Plenty O'Toole, the only like real other Bond girl. And she gets chucked out a window, and we eventually get back with Tiffany. Bond seems to be having a little fun fucking with the diamond smugglers, which is nice, though Connery looks thoroughly bored for most of the film. So we spend more time seeing random shit in Vegas. It's not terribly interesting. Connery and Jill St. John have no real chemistry, and none of what happens has enough weight or fun to make it worthwhile. Bond gets a little woman beating in, though, of course, which actually doesn't work at all considering the sort of character Tiffany is supposed to be. Bond follows Diamond some more, and eventually they get back to the White House, this hotel owned by the mysterious Willard White, who's a Howard Hughes parody. And Bond sneaks into this van that him and Tiffany are following. He gets into the back of it right in front of this other dude who takes no notice, which is just funny. And eventually he sneaks into the secret facility where the diamonds are finally dropped off. Bond pokes around and eventually steals a moon buggy from the dated fake moon landing set, which I actually thought was kind of fun. It's so terrible looking, so silly, that if nothing else, it enlivens the movie for a bit. A chase ensues, and it's goofy, but I liked it. It's followed by a car chase through the streets of Vegas, and it's pretty decent with this really nice moment in a parking lot. It's almost undone with its silly ending, which is a cobbled together like moment of a botched stunt in which the car was supposed to flip on two wheels, but the second unit shot the car coming out of this alley on the other two wheels, so Bond had to inexplicably flip the car in the alleyway. It doesn't make sense, but it's not too big of a deal. So Bond's up to see Willard White, only to find Blofeld holed up in White's penthouse. Blofeld's got this thingy to make him sound like Willard White, and there are freaking two of him. And they are running his empire. So Bond shoots the wrong Blofeld because there's two of them, and that's a cool scene. And the real Blofeld just gasses him in this elevator, and Kid and Wint dump him in a big pipe at a construction yard. But, you know, the eternal question is, why not kill him? And I mean, it's pretty standard that Bond is not going to directly be killed by the enemy of the film, but this seems like a lot of effort is being put out for nothing. Somebody could have easily found him at this construction site. There's lots of people there, and they seem to hope to hell that Bond's just going to be buried. I mean, there's a fucking robot welder thingy that eventually saves Bond, so all of this was really done for nothing. Bond eventually gets Blofeld to give him info on where the real Willard White is, and we get the Bambi Thumper scene. Bond gets it in the balls, which just shows you how far away we are from the roots of this series. And there's some gymnastic fighting or something nonsensical, and it's all weird, and it takes too long, and it's not that compelling. And it all ends rather abruptly with the girls throwing Bond into the pool, and only to have him overpower them. Bond eventually saves the real Willard White, who's played by Big John singer and sausage magnate Jimmy Dean. I like Big John, and Jimmy Dean's, at the very least, energetic, if a little too gosh shucksy. Tiffany is hanging out with Q, and she sees Blofeld in drag, and, I mean, she sees diamonds. There's no real reason for her to get captured, but she does, and Bond's arch nemesis sits here in drag, and fucking really, this is stupid. So White and Bond inspect the lab where the diamonds were, and we finally hear the word laser, and it has something to do with the diamonds, and Willard White tries to abort a shuttle launch Blofeld ordered, only to find it's too late, and there's a satellite with a shit ton of diamonds just crammed onto it that's already in orbit, and fuck all if you can actually explain how a shit ton of diamonds crammed around this thing makes a laser a super laser. Some tacky space effects later, and the actual plot is in full swing. Blofeld is ransoming the world. Again. This time with a laser satellite. I give the franchise that the laser satellite is a decent plot idea and a total Bond thing. It's a great idea with a silly execution. Bond and White eventually figure out that Blofeld is off the coast of Baja, California, and Bond eventually just parachutes in all alone, solely to be captured, which is a total what the fuck moment. I mean, he's gonna sabotage everything, just fucking kill him. So there is some bullshit about switching marching band tapes, which control the satellite, and Tiffany in a bikini, which is nice, and the film retains the novel's most famous line, ready, bitch. There's a big shootout finale after Bond lets go of a red balloon, which is his signal. Helicopter shootout starts. Tiffany slips back in to switch the tapes again, wearing the most conspicuous outfit fucking ever invented, and she's caught. And then she just escapes later. And cassette tapes do not make for compelling action. Bond joins the action after escaping the brig, which is just some sort of storage closet or something. They don't even try to stop him from ruining their fucking day. The action continues, and it's just there, never elevating the film. It's just bleh. So Blofeld tries to make his escape in his bathosub, which for some reason everyone is happy as hell to help him flee in. I'd fucking switch sides right there. He's leaving. So Bond gets in the controls here and slams Blofeld around, and then the movie just abruptly cuts to a cruise ship, and you don't really get to know what happened to Blofeld. And Bond and Tiffany are enjoying the in-movie coupling. Mr. Wint and Mr. Kidd are aboard the ship also, and they pretend to be servers for Bond's meal. And Bond figures out who Kidd and Wint are from Mr. Wint's horrid aftershave. So the movie has this finale on the boat, which is here because it was in the novel. Not the stupid shit that actually happens, but that Kidd and Wint attack Bond and Tiffany on a boat. So Mr. Kidd hilariously comes toward Bond with the flaming food, and Mr. Wint starts choking Bond, and it's very silly, but it's all even made worse because Tiffany just sits there, leans back, and goes, "Yee!" And then that's her acting for being terrified. So Bond lights Mr. Kidd on fire and blows up Mr. Wint, and Connery's last official Bond film goes out with a whimper. I think that the 70s just snuck up on the Bond franchise. None of this film looks or feels right. Connery looks like he can barely keep his eyes open through the mundane plot, and most of the action seems phoned in. Yeah, they get Guy Hamilton to direct again, and he tries to replicate the feel of Goldfinger. If the original script had to do with Goldfinger's twin brother, and Hamilton technically succeeds at doing so. The movie feels like Goldfinger. It feels like a Bond film. It's just not a very exciting one. Every Bond film to date has had something new to offer. Even when the series went all cartoony and stupid with You Only Live Twice, I couldn't deny the spectacle of it all. It was fucking huge. Diamonds Are Forever feels small and quite literally has nothing new to offer besides Connery's boredom. We also have a Bond girl who has energy but delivers all her lines in this flat manner. Yee! A terrible Blofeld who isn't even a little threatening, and a plot that never seems important. Bond just follows diamonds around for most of the movie until they are inexplicably crammed into a fucking laser satellite. I like the satellite. I like the diamond smuggling idea. I just find it goofy when they are crammed together. I mean, this honestly doesn't work, right? Like let me know if I'm wrong. If putting diamonds around the edge of your toy satellite can focus a laser into a super laser, fucking tell me and I will retract that. But I don't know. Diamonds Are Forever is the worst Bond film to date, by far. It's definitely Connery's worst official one. That's not really to say that the movie is horrible either. It moves along well enough, and Connery can still work his charm here and there. The laser satellite concept is classic, even if the oil platform battle finale has been on the weak side. The franchise is a long way from its Goldfinger glory days, and it seems pretty lost, but hopefully a new actor can help James Bond make it through the 70s.